Welcome to the Smart Dating Academy podcast. I'm Bela, the founder of Smart Dating Academy and your host. I started Smart Dating Academy in 2009 because I had this crazy knack of giving people dating advice that actually worked, that I took. I've been married for almost 25 years, and now my company helps people to date smarter and to find love. This podcast is meant to bring more love into your life, no matter where you are and what you do. And we're here to bring more life into your love. Smart daters, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited to introduce my friend, my client / former client, Stacy Katz, who is an entrepreneur, a coach, a total badass. And Stacy and I today are going to talk about how you are going to get more relaxed and more powerful in dating and in your entire life. So Stacy, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, what an honor to be here. And just, you know how much I adore you and how wonderful this community is. So thank you for having me.
Well, you're so welcome. So tell us about the beginning of our relationship. Remind me. How did you find me?
Yes. So I've been an entrepreneur, and my company was about to do a deal with Steve Harvey. So I started researching Steve Harvey. I found you, and it was like an explosion in my heart and in my brain and in my being. And I was getting my master's in spiritual psychology, and they had a sacred yes project, and mine was relationship and sensuality. And I just knew immediately I'm going to be Bela's client because you said be psychotically optimistic. And at the time, whatever the opposite of being psychotically optimistic was.
Just psychotic, maybe.
Psychotically fearful and negative. Really, there was just something that I was holding, and I knew I needed your support to go, just get back in the pool as a single mom. So that's how I found you. And it was amazing. And I think within 4 weeks, I had two boyfriends. So
it was so fun coaching you and watching you, find love, watching you evolve as an entrepreneur. And now you have become a certified coach, and you are going to be here to wind together all sorts of knowledge, all sorts of things to help us be better. So tell us about what you're doing now.
Absolutely. So I have spent thousands of dollars and hours sort of moving from self-sabotage to self-improvement to self-acceptance to self-leadership. And I'm really committed that everybody can get there shorter, faster, quicker, and, with a little bit less ditches to fall into. Really, that's just my commitment. I've really worked with masters, and my teachers have retired, or they're just so expensive that it's not really for everybody. And I want to democratize access, because I have really found tools that completely work. And everyone tells you, so it was like, be psychotically optimistic or do this. But how? How do I do that?
How to be psychotic?
How? What's the magical how? How do I learn how to ride the bike? I know I need to ride the bike. How do I do this? And it's experiential learning. It's really having the experience of it with a guide, in my opinion, my experience. Yeah.
I love that. So let's get into having a guide, and how do you go from psychotically pessimistic to psychotically optimistic? So take us through some of the steps that you would suggest if we're feeling kind of, where you were when we first met. Like, I don't know if love exists for me. If it does, I'm scared of it. I don't know what I don't know. Like, am I going to get my heart broken? Am I going to be disappointed? Are there any good people out there? Like, what the what?
Exactly. The key is learning how to transform your limiting beliefs and non-useful thinking and transforming them and transmuting them into something that empowers you, right? Because we're only suffering from our thoughts. And we're taking what I call, we're taking the past and we're putting it into the future, right? And a lot of that is somatic. Some of it was, by the time I got to you, I knew intellectually, but there was some fear in my body too, right? And so what I work with clients and the method that I've used is really a releasing judgments practice, right? That I think is the key, because when we show up and that track and it's just part of being human. There's nothing wrong. It's just part of being human, right? But when we have that track, I'm not pretty. Does he like me? Ugh, look at his shoes. He's balder than his pictures.
He doesn't make enough money.
He doesn't make enough money. She's, 5 pounds over what her pictures are convey. All those things. The thoughts, that track is in our way of creating. The talk is in our way of having access to being psychotically optimistic. So it's just our thoughts. It's just our thoughts. It's not, it feels like brick walls. This is the truth. This happened to me and he's bald. Like facts, right? That we have to wade through and handle and deal with. And when we can learn how to identify, oh, these are just my thoughts. It's just my fear. And to work with, I forgive myself for judging myself as not enough. I forgive myself for judging him as bald and not making enough money. And the truth is, we're all whole, complete, and beautiful souls, right? And if we can just get some altitude and some space from that negative barrage, then we can show up with another human being and really connect from there, which is like completely revolutionary, in my opinion.
100%. So you said a lot in there, and I want to unpack limiting beliefs, thoughts, and then we talked about releasing judgments. Okay. Now let's get into the mind of a typical dater, right? Let's, we can take you, for example. Okay. Yep. I am a 50-something, woman who hasn't been married. You want to get back into the dating world. Like, what happens and how do we manage ourselves?
Great.
We all have it.
Great. I believe that the key, it's an inside out job, right? I mean, we've got you, Bella, and you're making us, you're helping us be beautiful and present well. And I'll never forget when you had me practice how I was talking in front of the camera and I was like, this, right? You're the beautiful pictures, everything. So the outside and the actions being handled with your support. But you're not there when we're getting ready for the date. You're not there when, you're trying to come up with a response to the 60th text. Like, how are we moving? Right?
We're not in your brains at that moment.
Unfortunately. And that's also beautiful because we need to learn how to transition ourselves from a negative to a neutral, to a more empowering place, right? So I'll walk you through sort of a day in the life of how I do it differently now and how I help my clients do it, right? So one is the fear starts coming up and I do something called freedom writing, where I will light a candle and I will just write down all the fears, all the negativity. It's not really journaling. It's just, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? It's just literally writing down every single thing that's coming into your head, right? So it's really about getting it out of the back of your brain out. So you just kind of release, and you'll know when it's done because you'll feel calmer, you know?
And you do freedom writing, Stacy, when you start to feel like you're getting into that negative anxious state. So carry a damn notebook around with you, people.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because it happens, we're human beings. It can happen even in the bathroom, or, you know, just like, oh, you know, right? And then I rip it up and throw it away.
Oh, okay.
And you never reread it. Because that you're clearing the energy, you're clearing the space out of your head and your experience, and you're just clearing, right? So that really helps to sort of flush things. And yeah.
So let's say we're getting ready for a date and we're starting to get anxious. Okay. You're putting on your berry lip. All of you smart dater women, you know, we've got to have our lips popped, right? We're getting ready on the outside. But suddenly, what happens if you're thinking to yourself,
yes,
what if this person doesn't look like their pictures? What if it's boring? What if I like him and he doesn't like me and he doesn't ask me out again? So in that moment, we get this anxious barrage of thoughts, right? What do we do at that moment? We're getting ready for the date.
Right. Most people will call their friends, right? And, you know, we're trying to get our mindset right. This is about you getting right with you. Because who you show up as, and I'm going to tell you a story about my coffee date, how we show up can dramatically change the course of that date and how the other person shows up. So this isn't about getting pumped up by your girlfriend. Okay. How do I look? This is internal alignment. I think this is something that is so missed by people, right? Not, you know, so I want to get my mind right, my soul right. I want to get connected to spirit. I want to feel whole and calm and relaxed and powerful, me with me. So it really doesn't matter how that other person shows up, right? So it's I'm getting rid of the anxiety, because for me, it was like, you know, I could be in my sweats right now. I could be, you know.
Be with your son. You could be wherever.
Yeah, there's like, you know, because it's time and attention. There's a million things we could be doing rather than putting the Spanx and the lipstick on, right? The heels that hurt. Yeah. So it's like, oh, why am I doing this? So whenever I get in that, why am I doing this? I start freedom writing, getting clear of that limitation, right? And it goes pretty fast. You can take 10 minutes. And build it into your plan, ladies. Build this into your plan, okay? So freedom writing, and obviously, and Bella, I know that, you know, you'll guide people, great playlist, but this is an internal cleanse, internal, and, you know, if you can get still, if you can, you know, just ask the universe to just be, I am whole, complete. And nobody gets to validate me or reject me. Like, I'm good with me. This is the whole exercise. The whole way of being is like, you're great with you. You show up, high vibe, because you love you. And not only that, what can you do to offer this other person so that they feel whole, safe, and complete, even if it's not, you know, 4th of July fireworks and you never see them again? You get to serve that person to help them feel great. How cool would that be?
Amazing. I love that. I love that. And what women sometimes complain about, a little tangent, is I'll go in there and I'll ask questions and be positive and be interesting, and the person talks for 2 hours nonstop.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. You're not a victim. You get to, you can, like, you guys are badass in business. You're probably in sales. You know how to, you know, you're not a different, you just be relaxed and powerful. You don't have to be the victim of circumstance, right? So I'll tell you an example of when I was your client. I was in my master's of spiritual psychology course, I was meeting a guy for coffee. I'm all dolled up, which sometimes I experience as annoying. And
but you look gorgeous.
and that's okay. And he showed up sweaty on a bicycle, not looking like his picture, really like Eeyore energy. I'm already like, that moment where you're like, does he know who I am? Can I leave now? Moment. Like, no, we're going to do this. Doesn't buy me coffee, doesn't ask if I'm thirsty, nothing. Okay. And I'm going through, I can't wait to tell Bella and, Lindsay about this situation, right? Moment. And I thought, you know what? I'm in this spiritual psychology course. I'm going to use one of my skills. And one of the skills is soul-centered listening. So it's really about releasing any judgments and helping the person feel heard, safe, understood, and supported. Like, okay. So he's sitting there, boring, depressed. And he's talking about the plants in his house, and there's a spark in his eye. So I say, you really light up when you talk about your plants. What about the plants excites you? And he completely transformed into somebody completely different. Like, he felt safe enough to tell me the plants meant this, and it reminded him of his mother. And I kept just reflecting back to him. I see that it really helps you feel connected to your mom. And it was a beautiful soul connection. And he left there and he hugged me looking like he was hit by a bus, like didn't really understand what happened. And I really was clear. Wow. If I could show up for dating, just making somebody feel safe enough that they could actually put their armor down and share from their heart, we would see people, we would connect with them completely differently, even if it wasn't romantic. And that's what I help people do, whether you're applying for a job, whether you're on a date, whether you're dealing with your, sister-in-law. How can we make people feel safe and show up in non-judgment? And I'm telling you, your relationships will transform dramatically, and dating will transform dramatically. And your relationship, once you get into a relationship, and your marriage, all of it is about soul-centered listening.
So how do we flip into that, Stacy?
Yeah.
How do we do that?
So one, it's really a commitment and intention, right? That to release the judgments of yourself and to release judgments of others, and just show up and release anything that isn't love. Right?
Wow, that's so powerful.
And it's a choice.
I have goosebumps.
Yeah, it's radical.
It's radical. Simple. It's so simple. And you're like, oh, shit, I can do this. Like, I can release judgments of myself. Like, okay, so I feel like my pooch is sticking out even with a pair of Spanx on, and my feet are sore from walking in these heels. But you know what? I am love. And my goal is to release judgments of myself and the person in front of me, and just to make them feel seen and connected. That's it.
Yeah.
Was that it? Was that it?
Yeah,
right?
And it's a practice. And it's the work that I do with my clients it's a muscle that you build. When we want to look ripped for the summer, the people that look good, my trainer once told me that, the people that look good in July, we're working out in the rain in December, people, right?
Totally.
So it's a practice. And, I'll give you an example. I forgive myself for judging myself and for the misperception that, my butt is big, right? The truth is I am beautiful, whole, and complete, and deserving of all the love in the world, right? I forgive myself for the judgment and the misperception that this person, is a loser or ugly or whatever. The truth is that this is also a beautiful soul in front of me wanting to create love. right? We just have to get some spaciousness. And that's something that you practice and practice and practice. You know, I have a colleague that calls it cleaning. It's just cleaning, right?
Cleaning.
And the more that we can practice that and make that a daily part of your life, it's not something that you have to just try on as a coat as you go out on a date. And the person that we need to practice releasing judgments of is ourself first.
Yeah, that's so hard.
It's the most, and we can create it as easy. Like it's so hard as a thought, right? So we just need to transmute the thought, right? I forgive myself for judging that loving myself is hard. The truth is, I create that as easy. That's what the universe wants for me. And at the essence, we're all love. And Michelangelo said, how did he create the David? Because I chiseled away anything that wasn't the David. And our work on this planet is just to remove anything that isn't love. If we show up in love, not and wanting to give love, we don't need to, I got me, I love me, this person doesn't get it, that's okay. But I promise, if you show up on a date in non-judgment and love, more times than not, you're going to be met with a higher level than, the shoes, the balding, you didn't get me the drink. We can transform what happens in the situation. We are more powerful than we give ourselves credit for.
That's true. I think it was Marianne Williamson who says there's two states in us based on the Course in Miracles, right? We are love or we are in fear.
Yes.
And so it's like when you say, I am love, and I remember being at a talk where she was the keynote speaker at a Women on Fire conference before COVID. And she just said, when you come across any human being from today forward, I want you to think about this heart in your abdomen. And you say, the love in me greets the love in you. And I was just like, oh my God, this is what I need. This is what we all need, especially in a climate like we live in today that's so polarizing, right? Politically, economically, socially. But here, how can you affect this in your own personal life, right? And what you're saying is, I forgive myself for judging myself for having a big butt, right? It's like, I am love.
Yeah.
And I'm great as I am because I am love.
Yes. And you don't go out and get love. You create it. You can't go fill a cup of love. It doesn't exist. It comes from being. It's who you're being, how you're showing up. And a little hack is whenever I'm just like in the moment out in the world, I just go to inside myself. Love, 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 love. Try it. Your whole body chemistry changes.
Love, 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 love. I love that. Yeah.
Because it's all about resetting our nervous system. And just saying love changes your chemistry and your state, right? And it's like, we got to stop going out dating and taking, getting. You're not going to create the energy of receiving and flow and love and support if we're not giving love and support.
100%. A couple of weeks ago, I interviewed this amazing therapist for my podcast, Dr. Abby Metcalf. And she said the number one relationship killer, competition.
Interesting.
And I was like, but it's so brilliant. It's scorekeeping. It's scorekeeping. I did this. You haven't done this.
Yeah.
I did this 3 times.
Yes.
I make this much money. You don't make this much money. And ultimately, that competition comes from a place of judgment.
Lack and scarcity.
Fear.
Judgment, lack, scarcity, fear. That I am not getting what I need, right? And what do we need? What do we want? We want to be loved and supported unconditionally. And we're not giving that. And yet we want that. So how do we think we're going to get it if we're not putting that out? That's not how the universe works, right?
Now, to that point, let's say you're a badass, successful woman. You're making bank. You're making a great lifestyle. And now you meet somebody and doesn't quite fly in your financial airspace. Yep. How do you reconcile this from a mindset standpoint, if you can?
Yeah. Well, do you want to be in a relationship for 40 years with a bank account, or do you want to be in a relationship with somebody who loves you, supports you, will go to Trader Joe's for you, so I think we need to measure our love not on an abacus and not on a bank account. And let me tell you something, ladies, in the 50 plus, somebody's finances will go up and down in a lifetime. So you can be with somebody in their 30s who then, gets fired or is an entrepreneur who loses it. So it's a little short-sighted to be measuring it in dollars. Right. You want to be with somebody who makes you laugh, somebody who's got your back, somebody who, you want to hang out with, somebody who's going to weather the storms with you. And you do a great exercise. Who are the best people in our lives and how do they make us feel?
Amen. Amen.
Right?
Elevator people, baby.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And I get it, because I did that. I used to do that too. And, my awareness in my 50s is a heck of a lot different than who I was in my late 20s and 30s. And, who's going to be by your side when your parents are sick? Who's that guy? Who's that woman?
Right. It's not their bank account.
It's not, no, because it's the bank accounts are going to fluctuate, people. How's their character?
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, this is really making me think, the way we're talking about this is, what is a bank account? It ultimately relates back to safety.
That's right.
Right? That's it.
Right.
Can you fly in my airspace so I can be safe? Yes. Right? And that can mean a 5-star trip to Italy or Paris. But ultimately, is it really about that? Or is it about feeling safe with somebody?
Yes. And relaxed and powerful. It's like, and people, I would offer that, serve that to people. It doesn't take anything out of you. Like, show up and ask, how can I serve this person with love and support and non-judgment in these 40 minutes? And it's not an interview. And so stop, where'd you grow up? And, let's play a little bit, find out, and show up as the person you love. Show up how I want to show up in loving non-judgment and support of somebody. And it's what can we give? Because that's what relationship is. So let's completely be revolutionary in how we show up in dating. I can guarantee you're so powerful. You're going to find things out much more quickly when you show up from that place than what's he wearing? Where does he work? Where did his parents from? Do they have money? What are the shoes? He said the word this and I hate that. You can change your life really fast when you're clear with, how am I showing up for me? And right. He may not appreciate it, but I showed up in alignment with how I want to show up.
Right. And if we go back to your date with Plants Guy.
Yeah.
Okay, you showed up in loving non-judgment and support, and you heard and you picked up on what he lit up about, and you gave him a connection that day that I'm sure maybe for you, when you're not in the right mindset, it can feel like, I'm not his therapist. Why should I have to do that? But again, if you stand back and say, my goal is to make him feel loved and supported during this date, that doesn't mean that you have to go out with this person again. That doesn't mean that this person is going to be your boyfriend or girlfriend or your husband. Tell us about that. Like, you leave the plants date. What happened?
I felt so great because I decided, who do I want to be in the world? I want to be the presence of love. So I left there so proud of me. And we had a beautiful exchange. Like, there was a flow of energy, right? So no, did I want to see him again? Absolutely not. As a date, I'm good. We had a complete experience, but it wasn't like I would have evaluated in the past as like a complete time suck and waste of my time. And instead, because of my intention and who I declare myself to be, the presence of love and loving service, I left there going, yay me, I did that. And I know that I made a positive impact in his world. And even if he wasn't appreciative, I'm like, yay me anyways.
I did it.
I did it. And now that's how I can show up in business. That's how I can show up with, my annoying whoever in my life. It's really about loving who you're showing up as in the world and a love affair with myself. So when I am dating or, whatever you're doing, trying to get clients or looking for a job, I love who I'm being. I like who I'm being. Nobody gets to reject me. I'm unrejectable. You can't reject me.
I am unrejectable.
I am unrejectable. You cannot reject me because I am so clear that I am in alignment with who I want to be and how I show up, regardless of what's happening externally.
If somebody says no to you for a second or a third date, or you don't get the job offer, how do you tell yourself, I am unrejectable, when you feel that let down feeling? Is there an exercise we can do to lift ourselves back up?
It's really simple. So everything is, a prayer or a wish, whatever works for you. I always ask, I'm calling in the light for the highest good. So everything is just throwing it out. You're putting yourself in this white light for the highest good. So like over a year ago, I was in this big deal, and they put me through my uninvolved answer is the ringer, but my paces. And at the 11th hour, after I had gone through everything, they just, said, it's not going to work. And big money on the table. I had a lot emotionally invested, and I just immediately was clear this was not for my highest good. And I let it go. Sometimes, you say, God's rejection is your protection, but it really helps if you're not alone in the forest with your machete, because I did that for a long time. It really gets tiring. And I'm sure we can all relate to just being tired of, whack-a-moling, macheting our way through the world.
Yeah, and hearing no.
Yeah, and I have created that there's a million yeses in every no. So there's a window if that door is closed, and we don't know people after 3 dates. We have an idealized version of who we've created them to be. We don't know them. You're unrejectable. It wasn't for you. There's thousands of people on the planet. Don't put this avatar on someone. You don't know them. How can you be in love with them? Maybe you're, so it's just like, okay, it wasn't for my highest good. Let's go.
Right, because if I love me wholly, then if you say no to me, that's okay, because I love me. And that doesn't mean that it's anything bad about me. It just means you're not right for me.
And I'm going to tell you, you don't have to, nobody loves themselves 100%. Okay. And I've done a lot, and I don't love myself 100% all the time. And I accept I've learned to accept myself. And people, I'm telling you, I'm gonna offer a free gift for the smart dating community on my website, stacycats.com. I want everybody to have a releasing judgments, compassionate self-forgiveness practice. It is the number one skill and practice that will change your entire world. Right? So I spent so much time and money in self-improvement. And I finally realized that no amount of self-improvement can make up for a lack of self-acceptance.
I love that.
And that means warts and all, fatness, heavy, light, getting the job, having not enough money, kids not listening, full contact life, and being like, I accept, and I'm imperfect, and I love, and it's okay. It's okay.
The chaos is okay.
It's just part of being a human being on the planet.
Yeah. Right. When we release our expectations of being perfect and people treating us perfectly, it makes things a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
Can you leave us with the gem of how we can be better quickly?
Okay. I would say listen for the gold. So we can listen to this podcast. We can listen to our dates. We can listen to our partners, because you're going to need this in partnership. I agree. I don't agree. He said that listen for the gold. Scan for what's right. Scan for what's right. Listen, is there any gem? Is there plants? See the plants like, listen for the gold. Even when you're on a really terrible date, sometimes you get a great restaurant recommendation. That could be the gold.
Listen for the gold.
Listen for the gold. Yeah.
And if you find yourself looking at someone's shoes or the fact that he's sweating, what do you tell yourself in that moment? Give us a quick check.
Yeah. I forgive myself. I forgive myself for the judgment and the misperception that this guy's shoes is everything that he is. I forgive myself. I wouldn't want that somebody be judging me only on my shoes. Will you want to be judged only on your shoes? I don't think so.
Right. And if you walk in your Louboutins, you don't want to be judged.
Yeah. What else does this person have to offer? Somebody loves him on the planet. What can you find one thing that's cool and nice and kind about this person? Just listen for the gold in someone. The world will alter.
I love that. Stacy, I feel better for having been in your presence for this 40 minutes.
Oh, I love you, Bella. Your smile just is so contagious. Who you are in the world, helping people find love. I can't think of a higher calling, and I'm deeply grateful to you personally for creating this community, for your media work, and just spreading love in the world. And thank you for having me. It's been a real honor.
Oh, it's an absolute delight. Thank you for being here. And I'm sure we will have you back again. If people want to follow you on social media or get the gift, go to stacycats.com. Okay.
Yeah, stacycats.com. And I would love to support you to just live a more empowered, relaxing life and help you find love within yourself and out there in the world.
Oh, well, you are love. And thank you for being here. And Smart Daters, I hope that you feel like Stacy has given you some tips to take the steering wheel back of your own mind and heart, to know that your thoughts are just your thoughts. They're not true. And you can come back to a place of love and forgiveness for yourself and for everybody that you come across. And wow, what a friggin' awesome way to show up in the world. So thank you for making us all better. Smart Daters, I hope you're feeling better. And if you're not, it's time to do, or maybe you are feeling better. Reach out to us. Do a 1-hour consultation with me. I promise it'll rock your world. You deserve love. You are worthy of love. You are love.
We are love.
We are love. And with that, we'll see you at the next episode.